sometimes I do these videos just to kind of park my brain. Not that I'm parking my brain with this topic, but I'm just kind of getting away from business for a minute. And it's actually kind of therapeutic. So it kind of gives me a refresh, and then I go on. But, I wanted to talk about something that is so misunderstood in the Bigfoot community. Imagine that I went to, I don't know, Indonesia or just some obscure place, and I got a recording of the people there, okay, speaking their language, and I was an alien, for example, and I came back. I said, "Listen, here is their language. This is them speaking, and maybe they speak crazy and definitely a different language." And I go back to my alien people and I say, "This is how they talk." But then somebody comes into America and it's totally different. Hell, even the South to the Northeast is totally different. Yeah, that's the equivalent of what we've got in the Bigfoot community. We have, and Ron Moorhead went to my conference. I like Ron. He's a nice guy. But my point is that, and he's the most famous with his speech. He's the one that came out and I guess claimed that the Bigs had speech. He was the first one to do this, I guess. I'm sure the indigenous people said things about it before because they knew him pretty well, the Bigs. But anyway, Ron was the first one in modern society to do it. But everybody believes that if anything is not like Ron's audio, it's not valid speech. But the Bigfoot speech has a certain spectrogram footprint, okay? That is for sure. I've recorded a lot of it, and it's typically at about the 1500 hertz level or below, okay? And that's because they're a big animal. They have a big cavity, big throats. Same thing with any big animal, lions, tigers, elephants. They all have spectrograms that are way, way down, and that's just the way it is. If I do a recording of myself, I've got a deep voice. I'm way up on the hertz, and I'm like this on the spectrogram, narrow and tall, and breaks for my breaths. These guys, when they say something, is just wide and long and low. So, like, there's certain, I'm not going to name names or disparage people. I used to do that, but I'm not going to do that anymore. There's certain hoaxers, I guess, that will claim they have something. And if you do a spectrogram analysis, you'll see this on their thing. And even higher than the normal human would be, because probably they're using some kind of electronic amplifier device or whatever to make it sound big and loud. So anyway, that's that. But my point about Ron's stuff is his initial capture was just a wild ass, crazy, just like crazy ass. And I'm gonna put an audio out here in the next video or two that's basically the same damn thing. It is them trying to scare me the hell out of that area. Same thing, just wild-ass crazy sounds. And then as I start to go in there more often, then all of a sudden I'm getting the interaction. Okay? And the language interaction, kinder interaction. That's the same way it's been in a lot of different places. I get these wild-ass owl hoots, like crazy. It sounds like monkey chatter going crazy. I had this one where it sounded like there was a zoo back there. One of the first times I was back there, and I was pretty new to this. And I was going, holy shit, what is this? It was like kind of scary. But later, I start to get the interactions. And the language I get here is very different. Like from Florida, the Florida language almost sounded more indigenous tribe language. Alabama, we got something that sounded French, which is kind of interesting because it's near, Alabama's near Louisiana, and the French had a big influence over there. This one goes d'ici de Voku or something like that, and Voku, that sounds like French, And this was not some roaming French guy in the middle of this 3,000 acre property. I mean, it's just weird. So do I think, I think that a lot of the influences from the past also has to do with the way they sound. But anyway, my point is the language and all that shit's different from place to place. And people in this community, I feel like they go to Ron's for the benchmark. If it doesn't sound wild ass crazy, it's not a Bigfoot, or if it's not speaking like them, so they sound almost feral, it's not a Bigfoot. When they're quite eloquent, actually. I've gotten Spanish up in the mountains, and these weren't roaming Mexicans in this area or Spanish people. It was them. And what most people don't understand is the Spanish were here from the early 1500s to like the mid-1800s mining gold. And these guys speak Spanish like better than I do, like almost like a Castilian-sounding Spanish. Do they only speak Spanish? No. I can't even remember. Maybe I spoke Spanish to them in that area, and then they're speaking Spanish back. But they also speak their own language, which I don't understand. They've got names that don't sound Spanish. Sin tere. I don't know if that's a name or what, but I've heard that several times over in this one area. It's either a inflection, some kind of like hey or whatever, or it's somebody's name. I got a feeling it's a name. It sounded like a name the way they were saying sin tere. But my point is that they just have different stuff. In another part of Georgia, here in Gwinnett, I've gotten stuff that sounds almost like Scandinavian. I mean, really Scandinavian sounding. Kroka. And the way they speak or whatever, it's almost like Scandinavian sounding. So it's very interesting. But you can't just use this one famous clip as a benchmark, even though Ron's a friggin' amazing guy and all that. And he's the one that put that on the map. But there's languages vary all over the place. I always get these offshoot robot texts. I guess people will answer them. It's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm waiting for you. Do people actually answer that shit? I don't know. I don't know what happens when you answer it, if you just get scammed for money or if they get something off your phone. I don't know. I get these things all the time. I always tell my wife, hey, babe, I got some hotties hitting on me. Anyway, you guys take care.